Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stories at 7 with the New Deal Creative Arts Center. It's Miss Teresa again, and you can expect to see me a couple times this month because I love reading storybooks out loud, and I certainly love Christmas, so I had to take the opportunity to read to you guys multiple times. And tonight, I'm reading you one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time, one of my favorite Christmas specials, and a very wonderful story that we got to tell at New Deal a few years ago, which is A Charlie Brown Christmas. And it's a different kind of book that I'm reading because it's a book with sound. So we'll have some voices and music going on in the background as well. So let's get started with A Charlie Brown Christmas by Charles Schulz. Christmas time was here, the time when snowflakes fell softly and the sounds of carols rang through the air. It was the time filled with happiness, and for children everywhere, it was their favorite time of the year. But one little boy wasn't feeling very excited about Christmas. "I just don't understand Christmas," Charlie Brown said, as a light snow began to fall. "I might be getting presents, sending Christmas cards, and decorating trees, but I'm still not happy. I always end up feeling depressed." "You're the only person I know who can take a wonderful season like Christmas and turn it into a problem," Linus replied. "Lucy's right. Of all the Charlie Browns in the world, you are the Charlie Browniest." At the local skating pond, the boys found their friends playing a round of Crack the Whip. Snoopy grabbed Linus's blanket to drag him onto the ice, but he caught Charlie Brown in it and sent him flying into a snowbank.
Good grief.
Charlie Brown wasn't surprised. Things like that always happened to him, and the holiday season when he didn't get cards and even his own dog ignored him only made it more obvious. He needed someone to talk to. Lucy dashed over to her psychiatric booth to meet Charlie Brown. "May I help you?" she asked. "I am in sad shape," Charlie Brown replied with a sigh. "My trouble is Christmas. I just don't understand it. Instead of feeling happy, I sort of feel let down." Lucy knew just how to fix Charlie Brown's problem. "You need to get involved in a Christmas project," she declared. "How would you like to be the director of our Christmas play?" "Me? But I don't know anything about directing a Christmas play," Charlie Brown fretted. "Don't worry, I'll be there to help you," Lucy said. "I'll meet you at the auditorium." Just then, Snoopy walked past carrying a box filled with decorations. Charlie Brown followed Snoopy back to his doghouse. "What's going on here?" Charlie Brown asked. Snoopy handed him a flyer, and Charlie Brown read, "Find the true meaning of Christmas. Win money, money, money at the spectacular super colossal lights and display contest." "Oh no, my own dog has gone commercial. I can't stand it." Charlie Brown threw the flyer on the ground. On his way to the auditorium, he ran into his sister Sally. "I've been looking for you, big brother," she said sweetly.
Will you please write a letter to Santa Claus for me? You write it, and I'll tell you what I want to say. I have been extra good this year.
Sally knew exactly what she wanted, but her list was so long. She decided it would be easier to ask for money. "How about 10s and 20s?" she suggested. "10s and 20s? Oh, even my baby sister," Charlie Brown groaned. Surely Christmas was about more than money and presents. In the auditorium, the whole Peanuts gang danced to a jazzy tune that Schroeder played on his piano. Charlie Brown walked onto the stage. "Let's get right down to work," he said. "It's important that you pay strict attention to the director. Am I right? I said, am I right?" Charlie Brown is right. But no one paid any attention to Charlie Brown. They had started dancing again. Stop the music, Charlie Brown yelled. We're going to do this play and we're going to do it right. Lucy, pass out those scripts and costumes. One by one, the kids found out their roles in the play. Frida would play the innkeeper's wife. Pigpen would play the innkeeper. Shermie would play the shepherd, and Snoopy would play all the animals in the script, and even some that weren't in the script. Let's rehearse the scene at the inn, directed Charlie Brown. Let's take it from the top. Places, action. Once more, the kids started dancing and fooling around. Charlie Brown rolled his eyes.
Good grief.
That does it, Charlie Brown exclaimed. If we're ever going to get this play off the ground, we've got to have some cooperation. Let's face it, replied Lucy. We all know that Christmas is a big commercial racket. Well, this is one play that's not going to be commercial, Charlie Brown insisted. We need the proper mood. We need a Christmas tree. Lucy nodded excitedly. A great big shiny aluminum Christmas tree. That's it, Charlie Brown. You get the tree. I'll handle this crowd. Okay, I'll take Linus with me. The rest of you, practice your lines, Charlie Brown said firmly. Get the biggest aluminum tree you can find, Charlie Brown called Lucy. Yeah, do something right for a change, Charlie Brown, added Peppermint Patty as the boys walked into the cold winter night. They followed a set of gleaming spotlights to a Christmas tree lot. It was filled with shiny metal trees, polka-dotted trees, and trees in every color of the rainbow. Clank, clank, clank. Linus knocked on one of the metal trees. Gee, do they still make wooden Christmas trees? Asked Linus. He didn't see anything he liked in that Christmas tree lot. Then Charlie Brown spotted a small, scraggly pine tree. It had a wooden trunk and soft green needles. This little green one here seems to need a good home, he said excitedly. I don't know, Charlie Brown, Linus said. Remember what Lucy said? This doesn't seem to fit modern spirit. I don't care, Charlie Brown insisted. We'll decorate it and it'll be just right for our play. Besides, I think it needs me. Soon, Charlie Brown and Linus walked onto the stage. We're back, Charlie Brown announced as he set the tree on top of Schroeder's piano. When the kids rushed over to see the tree, their mouths dropped in shock. The scraggly little tree was not what they had expected. You were supposed to get a good tree. Can't you even tell a good tree from a poor tree? Lucy asked. You're hopeless, Charlie Brown, added Peppermint Patty. Charlie Brown sighed. I shouldn't have picked this little tree. Everything I do turns into a disaster. I guess I really don't know what Christmas is all about. Is there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about? He exclaimed. Sure, Charlie Brown, replied Linus. I can tell you what Christmas is all about. Linus crossed to the center of the stage, the lights dimmed, and a spotlight shone down on him.
And there were, in the same country, shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring unto you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown picked up the tree and walked outside. He stared up at the night sky. Linus is right, he said. I won't let all this commercialism ruin my Christmas. I'll take this little tree home and decorate it, and I'll show them it will work really well in our play. When he passed Snoopy's doghouse, Charlie Brown pulled a shiny red ornament off the doghouse and proudly hung it on the tree. But the tiny tree buckled under the weight of the ornament. A look of horror crossed Charlie Brown's face. I've killed it! Oh, everything I touch gets ruined! He hung his head in defeat. Charlie Brown sadly walked away. Then the rest of the Peanuts gang arrived. I never thought it was such a bad little tree, Linus said. He straightened the tree's bent trunk and wrapped his blanket around its base. It's not bad at all, really. It just needs a little love. Without speaking, the other kids took the lights and ornaments off Snoopy's doghouse and used them to decorate. Before their very eyes, it transformed into a beautiful Christmas tree. Charlie Brown walked up to the group and barely recognized the tree. What's going on here? He exclaimed. And together they gathered round that beautiful Christmas tree and they all began to sing.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, good and sinners reconciled. Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
The end. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking the journey on this story of Charlie Brown with me. Again, one of my all-time favorites, and I hope you get to catch it on TV this year. And if it's a first time, I hope you enjoy watching it. Well, tune in tomorrow night for our next Stories at 7, and I hope you have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas!